Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
How are you doing?
Fine, how's it going?
I'm all right. I I've been touring so much. I remember, okay, I've been doing a lot of city spots, but I remember like being super burnt out a couple of years ago and my therapist being like, you need to rest, you need to like get off the road. And I was like, you're right, you're right. And I had a couple of weeks off and I was talking to her and she's like, so how's like resting going? I was like, oh, good, I'm doing spots. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing spots. She's like, you're supposed to be resting. I was like, I am resting. She's like, in what world is resting where you don't do spots? And I was like, in no world. In no world is that resting. And then, of course, I'm home. I did like 12 spots in like 5 days. And I was like, I could see why she
What's
is.
wrong with you?
I don't know. I want spots. I'm home. I want
Why?
to do spots. I
What's
don't
wrong
know
with
what's
me
wrong.
then? Because it's like we got back from Europe and I was like, I'm not talking to anyone for 2 weeks. I'm not doing shit. And I didn't, and it was great. But like what is that? This is this is something I never understood between the two of us. Is that well, me and other comedians, I just don't have a need to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I definitely think even just our path and like what we desire for a career has always differed. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I truly don't. I like doing it. It's my favorite thing. So why would I? And I feel good. I think the problem is like anything, like you can overtrain, right? Like you could be a competitive swimmer and you can overtrain and like, I don't know, rotate a arm cuff or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you
Pull a
can,
hamstring.
yeah, you can overdo a good thing, right? Like the same way that like, this is the dumbest example, so get ready. I love sprinkles, like genuinely love sprinkles. As people, if they've listened to it during the pandemic, I remember I got that big ass, like huge thing of
And then
sprinkles.
you
And
found out what was in sprinkles.
yeah, which is mostly wax.
I watched
But
your heart die.
yeah, I was like, no, I thought it was food. But you can overdo sprinkles. It's gross. It has like a film on like the top of your mouth. And it's just like there's a balance between like my favorite thing and like, ew,
Yeah.
that's ew, ew. So it's almost the same with stand-up, where it's just like, this is my favorite thing. And then there's just a day where you're like, if I say these words one more time,
Yeah.
like after the Fringe Festival, I like I didn't record the hour. I took an old recording of the hour because I knew that I felt nothing close to those words and I didn't want to say them again.
Yeah.
And and like I'm not there, so I'll still like doing it.
That's good. Okay, fine. Fine. If that's what's relaxing to you, fine.
I wouldn't say it's relaxing. It's just what I like to do. And then also like Evan was out of town and it's like, well, what am I gonna do on the weekend? What do people do on the weekend if they're not performing? Like there's like as somebody that's like always working on the weekend, I was like, I cleaned,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
like
I get that. I do get that because when I don't have a show, it's just like I I've gotten very used to watching TV, which is also bad. I don't think my way of doing things is correct at all. Um, but it does feel weird not gigging when you could be. But I also recall you not being able to take baths because there's no like you don't like to just sit there
yeah, what are we
and
doing?
you're incapable of relaxing.
That is true. That's a valid point. I have not gotten better. Oh, so I'm in my hobby phase. Because I know I am about to not be on the road for 6 weeks. And I also know that I might lose my mind. So like I'm trying to skateboard. Like Evan got me a skateboard for Christmas. So I've been trying to learn how to skateboard. Shut up. Yeah, so I'm trying to skateboard, which I actually have like a really dumb story.
Let's hear it.
I So I've now practiced a couple of times at Evan's parents. So they live like in like a little cul-de-sac, a little like neighborhood or whatever. So we're just like in the middle of the street and he's teaching me how to skateboard. And I was like getting better. And he was like, you got to practice if you want to get better. So I was like, there's like a parking lot like not too far from me. So I thought maybe I'd practice in that. But then I was like, oh, genius idea. I'll practice skateboarding on my way to the gym because I had to join a new gym and it's like a 20-minute walk. And I was like, genius. But I didn't, because the only time I've skateboarded is like in front of Evan's parents in like a neighborhood where nobody's looking. I didn't realize how embarrassed I would be. So every time I got my skateboard, I was like, oh no, people are looking at me fall. Like, and I'm not good at it. Like I'm bad. And I would like do like 2 pushes and then I would like head towards a car and I was like, I can't. And I was like, oh, maybe if I do it in the bike lane. And I was like, no, this is worse. And I ended up like truly, Evan was like, I told Evan, he's like, can you just text me so I know that you got to the gym alive? And I texted him. I was like, I didn't realize how embarrassed I was going to be. And he just laughed so hard because I'm so bad. I'm so bad. And I haven't learned something new in public since I was a kid. Like, I mean, I guess stand up is something you learn in public,
Yeah, you
but like,
constantly try new things in public. I have so many questions. Number one, is skateboarding how Evan practices surfing?
no. So he has a skateboard because the way he told me is there's certain places he would go surfing and where he parked and where he was gonna go surf, like he would have to go see if the waves are good where he's gonna surf. So he would park, skateboard to where he was going, look at the waves, and if they sucked, he'd be like, that's not it, and skateboard back to his car and then go drive somewhere else. And so it's like a little bit of a like a quick like vehicle for him to go check out waves.
Okay.
Um, and even he says he's like an okay skateboarder, but he's not like he's probably a better surf. He is a better surfer than he is a skateboarder, but he's better than me. And I've always wanted to learn.
Yeah, great. I mean, I applaud this. I recall you not wanting to learn how to draw because you didn't want to be bad at it.
I know I got a book. I'm really
Whoa. That was weird. It was like it was almost like it was on purpose, like that was set up. Like this
well,
was
when
an
you
interview. I'm on a late night show. I'm the host. And I'm like, yeah, and then you had this idea of like drawing, and then you're like,
get a book. They're like, hey, I heard you wrote a book. I have a book. I'm not joking. So Evan was in LA and I was at his place and he came home and I'm doodling because Sammy came over and I literally I feel so stupid. I was like, I'm not good at it. I was like, it doesn't look like the drawing. So I got tracing paper. I was like, maybe I'll get better by tracing it. So Sam came over who's good at drawing and I was like, this is a dumb question, but like, how do I get better? Like, is it like, why is my brain is like, make it like this. And then it doesn't do that. And I remember that feeling as a little kid being like, I see it. Why is it not? And he's like, it's just like like it's your hand. You train your hand. He's like, you just have to doodle all the time. So Evan came home to me doodling in my new doodle notebook. I have a doodle notebook.
okay, good.
Like, oh, my cats are being insane. But no, I'm beginning this is how I relax, is learning new stuff.
It's how I feel about accents, like doing accents. It's like I can hear it. Why does it come out of my mouth all wrong? You know, don't
I
get
watched
it.
Like, sorry, my cats are literally, they're truly running sprints back and forth. Um, I saw a video where a woman was showing that like where the accent is at different points of your, like she's like Scottish is in the back of your throat and like English is in like, and she was like, this is in the mouth. She's like I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was basically saying that certain accents are in different parts of, like some are in your mouth, some are in the back of your throat. Like, and I was like, oh, that's so fascinating. Just that alone, I learned more about.
I get all that, but it's still just you hear it and then you say it and then you're like, nope, that wasn't. What was that?
No, yeah, you're like, oh, I just insulted a whole country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has your English accent from being in England for 7 or so
Nothing.
years?
Nothing. It's so bad. It's insultingly bad, which is, it's if I could master the English accent, I'd probably get put up for more roles and stuff. Like it would benefit me a lot. But if I try to do it, it's just nails on chalkboard. It's so bad.
Would you ever get somebody to coach you?
Yeah, 100%. It's just worth the money for that.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love that.
Do you ever watch like videos of like
I
people?
have.
Okay.
It doesn't stick. I mean, maybe it's just practicing more. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting that you're taking up hobbies because I've just revisited my Clever Fox planner. I let it go for a few months. It
Yeah.
happens, and then so it's just getting into my hobbies myself because everything I need to be doing right now is one of those like no deadline things, like write this pilot or whatever. Like no one's really asking for it, but you got to write it so that people can read it or write a book, etc. And so if I want to nurture any like extracurricular activities, I have to kind of put it in the planner so I feel like I'm being productive. So like I've put in like take 5 pictures a day, you know,
Yeah.
and learn Photoshop it and like I'm trying to nurture like my photography habit. No, my photography hobby. My interest in photography. What is wrong with me? Next will be learning how to speak. I can't
Hmm.
do accents. I can't even speak on my own. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I was reading a horoscope. It said that like I don't know if the moon was in Gemini. I don't retain that much about horoscopes, but it was in this really playful learning beginner stage of the moon cycle. And so
That is that what we're going through
that
as
is what
Gemini?
we're going through. And that's why you're falling over on a skateboard and then drawing it.
I'm like, I'm gonna use this blood as paint. This is so good. It's like, I mean, I think in general, and I would love for our fans to correct us. I feel like women are constantly in like a searching for a hobby. Like, I don't know any woman right now that's not thinking about working towards or actively in an obsessive hobby.
Yeah, there's a lot of knitting happening.
A lot of knitting, a lot of
Um,
crocheting, a lot of knitting. Sammy got into it. Emily got into it. My mom ended up getting into it. I started with embroidery, and somehow my embroidery spawned a bunch of crocheters.
you did this to them.
I did. I was like, they were just like, hey, if Liz can do it, it can't be that hard. And they're all better than me.
They've been practicing.
Yeah, they have. They really have.
I don't know what the difference is between all of those, but I can look it up. That's okay.
Yeah, that could be your Google.
That could be.
So
My Google
exciting.
was a flop, and so I started Googling something else, and then it was time to like start. I was like, oh, so we'll see
Yeah,
what comes up.
mine was I don't know why. It's funny, I've been off coffee for a week and I
Ooh,
feel better. Oh God.
really?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I know if I have 1 cup of coffee, I'm fine. And especially like a latte. I'm pretty sure like a latte has less concentrated caffeine. This is saying this out of my butt. I don't even know if it's true. But like what was
Our whole
happening,
podcast is us saying shit out of our butt.
seriously, this is all Liz facts. But I've been making coffee, so I've been having concentrated coffee twice a day, and my tum tum was hurting, and my anxiety was up, and I was like, "Hey, I'm smart enough to know the correlation between," and it was doing it as a survival technique between depression and exhaustion and jet lag. Like it was a necessary tool for the time I used it, but I don't need there's nothing pressing right now. Like there's no like you said, there's no deadline. There's nothing that like truly has to get done. Other than me, like I go to Texas in a week and a half. So it's like I have to get on a plane and tell some jokes. But in the next week and a half, there is nothing pressing that I need a cup of coffee to jolt me. I feel
Right.
better emotionally. So I've been having more tea. I've always loved tea. Why'd we get away from tea? Um, but I do like my goal is to have it like once or twice a week as like a fun, let's have fun. But like I
Do you
feel
know what I
better.
discovered? I think because after my birthday, because I for my birthday, I tried to make vegan Guinness chocolate cake and regular Guinness chocolate cake, and because of that, did I already talk about this?
Oh no, you told me as a friend and
Yeah,
it was quite enjoyable.
I made a lot of mistakes and a lot of cupcakes. So, but I kept having to try the cupcakes to
So that's
see
the
what
name
was
of our
wrong.
next podcast. I've made a lot of mistakes and a lot of cupcakes. Please join us.
That's the name of the Danny, take note. Um, because Because it's just because honestly, sometimes the cupcakes just taste better the next day. So I wouldn't even be totally sure, but then I'd still have to make more just in case or whatever. I ended up buying a regular cake from a store and then I ended up making vegan fudgy brownies, which were delicious. Um,
Cool.
but the Guinness chocolate cake, the this double layered cake I did make, I didn't have the confidence to serve it because you can't try a cake. You can try cupcakes, you can't try a cake. But it ended up
Uh,
being pretty delicious. And
oh, that's good.
I've been eating it is the problem.
Oh,
Um,
great.
and I
Mhm.
realized anyway, what I'm trying to say is I realized because I had a
Or you're
lot of
like,
sugar.
I'm drunk. I don't know anything about Guinness cake. And you're like, I'm very drunk right now.
Wasted. I didn't cook it. You're not supposed to cook it. Um, but I noticed that like having all that sugar that I had on my birthday, I felt hungover the next day. And I just remember like some of the worst hangovers you have are when you mix alcoholic beverages. And I honestly think it's the sugar more than it's the alcohol that makes you feel like shit. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
obviously the alcohol too, because I think alcohol is like another,
It
it's
gets
like the
it gets
next level of sugar.
it gets processed as sugar. Like it breaks
Yeah.
down as sugar. So it's like sugar, double
Yeah.
sugar.
So I had a sugar hangover,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, the next day. And I just thought that was interesting. It also makes me feel very delicate. Like I do so I don't have nicotine or drink or I do so little that like I notice just when anything makes me feel off, like oh these carrots made me feel a little headachy. You know what I
But
mean?
actually, I'm gonna push back on. It's actually a lack of. I don't think it's delicate. It's actually being attuned with your body. So like the when you do an elimination diet, the point isn't to take everything out of your diet and never eat most things again. The point is to understand how your body's reaction to something. So you take out like the main seven causes of allergies. So it's like I think it's like dairy, eggs, grains, or like let's say gluten. Um, I don't
Soy.
know, soy.
This feels
That's a
like
good one.
Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
No, that
Show me
is soy.
soy.
Soy is one. Soy. There's like two others, but like you take them out and then you slowly bring them back in. So if it was going to be dairy, you'd put, you would have some, you drink a glass of milk. I don't know, put it. You can't have cereal because you're off grains right now. But like whatever, you add it back and you would figure it out. And what happens is like there's certain things that you don't realize are an allergic reaction that you now understand. So like an allergic reaction I didn't know of is your throat gets really sore. So a lot of times people are like, "Oh, I think I'm getting sick," but really it's just an allergic reaction. Or your nose gets really was it like drainy? What's the word? Like
Stuffy.
what's the opposite of stuffy? Where it's just like
Runny.
drippy. Runny. Thank you. Could not find that. We're doing great. But
Too much relaxing. We need to get our brains back in order.
oh God. But like that's an allergic reaction. So then you start to be like, oh, I might have not the most extreme allergic reaction to dairy. I might just have this kind of soft allergic reaction. My body doesn't like it. So I think the same way that like is eating an excessive amount of cake good at any time? Probably not. Um, but I think in general, I think your body is saying, hey, this isn't for us, or this isn't the best way for us to break down nutrients.
Yeah, Maria, you've had nothing but beer and sugar.
And
Um,
you're like, what? It's my birthday. And they're
Shut
like,
up,
that's not how that
body.
works.
I'm seeing an allergist on the 26th, and I'm so excited.
Oh,
Like,
really?
what a geek am I? I'm like, I'm so excited to see an allergist. I can't wait.
Are
Find
they
out what's
doing
wrong with me.
are they doing the thing where they basically like
I hope
um
so. Otherwise, what am I there for? Let's find out what I'm allergic to and how I can stop from being like so miserable all the time. Because even when I'm taking these like hay fever pills, I'm still like sneezing and my eyes are all running and like it's just like I'm miserable. So I don't know if
and
London Air is bad, but huh?
And do you feel like, because like you've always had that issue, and we've Googled it before, where you get out of the shower and you're like stuffy and stuff? Like there's something about like the
Yeah, but
change.
I was satisfied with the answer that it was a change in temperature that makes your nose because it would happen anywhere in any shower, you know, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like
that
there
makes
was like
sense.
it's like my particular bathroom is moldy or whatever. So I think it was a change in temperature that my nose was like, ah, like I
But
don't know.
If we are going to talk about sensitivity, I wonder if your nose is just you just got a sensitive nose.
Sensitive ass nose.
Yeah, they're just like, what is that? Pollen? What is that? Did the temperature change? Like your
Like to
nose
turn
is
that off if possible. I don't know. We'll see what they say.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Um, okay. Um, shit, there was something I wanted oh, we talked about it in private, but my dad watched like an old episode of first of all, it was very cute. He was like, he goes, "Is it a podcast if it's video?" And I was like, "Well, podcasts can be on video, and we do put our podcast on a video." He goes, "I think it was your podcast with Maria. She looked beautiful. She looked so beautiful, and you looked like you got thrown out of a bus." And I go, well, when we tape it, it's usually like 10 or 11 a.m. for me, and it's 4 or 5 for her. So she's about to go do shows, and I'm just waking up. And I truly would roll out of bed and do the podcast. He's like, it looked like it. You should tell Maria she looks really beautiful. I was like, I will let her know. Thank you. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Mr. Mealy.
It made me laugh so hard because he said it like just so innocently. He goes, "She looked beautiful and you looked bad."
I know. I was like,
Like he
I
was
felt
like,
bad. I'm like, I'm sorry you had to get hurt in that compliment to me, but that made me feel
like,
good. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, no, and that is I notice it every day as well, is that Maria looks gorgeous and I'm like, "Hey, babe, what is the
That's not
podcast?"
true. You always look gorgeous. You get tons of compliments. Shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I think I like our listeners more than our YouTube watchers. They're like, "What?
I
Everybody
can't
sounds."
wait for all the compliments to come flooding in for you. But that's the most you always get. They're like, Liz, you look great. You know, Liz, you look beautiful. And I'm just sitting there like,
I did my eyeliner. uh, announcements? Do we do announcements?
yeah, let's do it.
I'll be in Texas. Come see me in Texas. These are my last tour dates before I give it a little bit of a rest, and I'm off the road until August. But I will be in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and Austin. And if you don't know, I'm taping another special in September in Brooklyn, and then I have a bunch of other tour dates from August on, all at lizmealy.com.
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram at Maria Shahada and um all the other places. I don't understand these apps. It'll be like 800 people like this, absolutely 0 views on your next one. It's like what I fucking hate. I hate
I
it.
can't. I can't. I can't.
I
And
know.
I don't actually understand from a business point of view why you would like be like, hey, people are paying attention, and then being like, they'll never pay attention again. And you're like, dude, at some point,
That's
because the truth is like they're being like, well, it keeps the chase alive. You're like, yeah, for like a couple of weeks, but then I'm gonna stop trying because it's just shitty. It feels shitty.
it feels shitty. It feels like there's like, oh, people are paying attention. Let me post more. And it's like nothing, absolute silence. Nobody's looking. And so you're like, well, I'm not gonna waste my time. This is just a diary at this point, and I already keep one. So
Double diary, digital diary.
fuck the apps, but follow us
Yeah.
at Tuna at TuneOnDRS on Instagram, at TuneOnDoctors on the rest of them, YouTube, Twitter. It's the number 2 forward doctors. And you can write to us at Gmail or sorry, yeah, what is it? TuneOnDoctors@gmail.com, number 2 forward doctors. Tell us your thoughts on things. Um,
Yeah. And thanks to our Patreons. Thank
thank
you
you
to everybody
so
that
much.
donates and
You
supports
guys
us.
are legends.
You want to do fan mail?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Oh, I meant to look something up for this and then I didn't. God, I'm the worst podcast host. It's from Dimitri. I think we've read Dimitri before. I think he
Yeah.
patron.
Mhm.
Nice of him to write. It's hey doctors, listened to your episode while you were on tour and wanted to give some background info on why German trains suck. In short,
Ooh.
privatization. Long time ago, German trains were on time. Then they were sold to private investors. Private investors value profit over service. So they cut costs and literally removed tracks and stations because they weren't profitable. They did not invent anything. I'm sorry, they did not invest anything in maintenance or development or tracks or trains. They stopped training new people and now have shortages of workers because the old boomer workers with a ton of experience retire en masse. Hope you had a great tour and come back soon. Please visit Nuremberg, um, the place of the Nuremberg trials of Nazis. Let me put in of Nazis
You know,
in
it's so funny
parentheses.
because he says Nuremberg, and I was like, hey, why do I know that name? And he was like, trials, Nazis. I was like, oh yeah, history.
It's like we're just sitting there. He's like, come to Nuremberg. And we're like, just like mouth open. He's like, it's where the Nuremberg trials were. And we're just mouth open, like, Nazis. Oh, right. I've
That's
actually been to Nuremberg. I liked it. It's like,
oh
yeah. South of Germany is very beautiful. Or Erlangen, which is a huge student city with a lot of young people who surely would love to see you both. Best regards.
oh,
Thank you.
that's great. Yeah, I mean that's John Oliver did like a whole thing on all our train issues in the US, and it is
Oh,
the same.
really?
Yes, the same kind of mess, like just um uh profit over safety, safety rules being minimalized. But like, you know, there was like a crash in Ohio and just shit everywhere, like just people getting sick, and they just did not give a shit. There's been more train crashes and just and like the trains are longer. That's the other thing, is that like to save money. So like I don't, these are going to be made up numbers because I never remember anything, but like let's say it used to be like 10 trains connected. Now it's like literally miles of trains. So just trains for miles and miles and miles. And if they stop, it blocks roadways, and it's just a mess. People can't go to the hospital. There's like so many issues with trains because we've cut costs and not maintained them and don't care about safety.
Well, someone's lined their pockets, and kudos to them.
I
Yeah,
get
same.
it just sucks because like so there was a map. Did I send this to you or did you send this to me? There was a map and it was like train lines in the US, and it was like doop doop doop, and those train lines in Europe, and it was like and it was like, you know, like you could really get around in Europe on trains, and you're like, and that's what we talked about half the time we were on tour. Is like, I love trains, not German trains, but I love trains. I love trains. Like it's like nice to be able to travel that way. It's efficient, it's cheaper, and it's just not like that here.
I think it was because of Ford, and this is also me. It could have just been the city of LA, but I think it applies to the whole country of um because he wanted everyone to drive cars, so he
Yeah.
got rid of those trains and the trolleys.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I thought it was under Thatcher that privatized the trains here. Oh, people love to complain about trains in the UK. And I'm coming from America, so I'm just like, this is great. And they're like, this is garbage. Like this is run so poorly. They're always late if they're running at all, etc. Um, and I thought it was Margaret Thatcher who did that, but I just Googled it, and it was under Thatcher's successor, John Major, that the railways themselves were privatized. Under the Railway Act 1993, the operations of the BRB were broken up and sold off to various parties. Um, yeah. So anyway, like there's issues here too. I guess what was surprising about Germany is there like a stereotype of Germans being on time and efficient, etc. And like so the trains were not reflecting that at all.
At all. No, and they were just convoluted, and we had to take like a bus to a train to a train to a bus. It was just a mess. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from everything is that private companies don't care about you. I mean, that's pretty much what John Oliver's whole show is. But like private companies don't care about you. They just want to make money, and they'll if their job is to save your life, they'll like, hey, that's not really efficient for us, so we're not going to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's just insane.
Yeah. We should get to our Googles.
Yeah, can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so my Google is about my kitties. Um, I don't really use my air conditioner except at night, or like if I get back from the gym and I just was like, I'm overheating and I need a little bit of air conditioning, but I don't really use it. And I was starting to be like, I've never had a long-haired cat before. And they're bigger guys, they're bigger, they're little chunkers. I don't want to kill my cats accidentally because you know it's getting hotter here. So my thermostat says it's like with nothing on, it says it's between like 75 and 78, which feels comfortable for me, honestly, as a girl, and I'll have the windows open. But I was like, am I killing my cats? So it says, yes. So I asked, can indoor cats overheat, right? I know outdoor cats can because they can't escape the heat, but can indoor cats? And it said, yes, cats can overheat indoors, especially if the temperature is above their comfort zone of 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Cats also may overheat if they're in a humid environment or if there's no power or air conditioning. Some cats are more likely to overheat than others, including older cats, overweight cats, short-nosed cats, and then cats with certain medical conditions and kittens under 4 months.
Do you know when
So
else when cats overheat is when you put them in a dryer?
yeah, I didn't put a washing machine, and it was for 2 minutes. And he was dirty. Um, Dude, I am so triggered by accidentally washing him because he's not Lunchbox doesn't cry. And I was doing a load of wash. I always check, by the way. I'm like a psycho about checking. So I checked. I literally eyes on Lunchbox, eyes on Ghost, shut the door, did the wash, was in the other room, and then I heard him cry, and he has a different cry than Ghost, and I was like, "Oh my God." And then when I open the door, when I open the window in my bedroom, it sometimes slams the door like the wind does. And he was just trapped in my room and he didn't want to be trapped in there. But I was like truly like my heart was racing because I was like,
Mm,
how could this happen again? I
yeah.
checked. I checked. Oh my God. So yeah, I just have to be a little conscious as the heat because it's starting to really heat up and I'm not an air conditioning person, but I'm not covered in fur. So I'm just starting to think about like, should I leave the air conditioner on for them or like
Are
just
you going to?
something? I think so for when it gets like hotter. I think I just need to start checking the thermostat and then, I don't have to keep it on like 60. I don't have to keep it on something crazy, but I could keep it on like 70 and just have them even if it's just a
What if there
place
was
where
like fans?
I don't have too many fans. I could put a fan on them. I'm just
I
I don't
get it
know.
though.
Yeah, I worry about them. So that was my Google. They can overheat.
You can send them here. It's cold as fuck.
Oh, great. Perfect. What a
It's never gonna warm
compromise.
up. So,
Yeah, great, 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 great.
oh no, mine. Okay, so I originally Googled what like what's the difference between a microplane for cheese, or like zest, and a foot callus remover. They're the same.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That is the cutest Google. They look the same. They absolutely look the same.
They're
That's
the
really
fucking same. And so nobody had an answer because nobody ever Googled that. The only,
Dude, that's like I think there's like they shouldn't they celebrate that? Like when you're the first person to Google something?
oh yeah, they should sell it. Is that, do they?
I thought they did. I thought there was like a little bit of a like, you did it. Nobody's as big as you.
Although I did find out that you shouldn't use those microplanes on your feet, like the grater looking thing, even though it's not a
Yeah.
grater somehow, even though it looks exactly
Yeah.
like one. And I'm sure it's made
Yeah.
of the same thing. It's because it spreads infection, but I've been using one, so I'm like, oh shit. Um, and then so I Googled how do I stop wanting to control everything? A bit deeper.
Oh, wow. Wow. I want to know. Wow. Wow, dude.
Well, I wasn't fruitful with the other one, and so I was like, well, what bothered me today? And I remember, so like my upstairs neighbor, whenever they, and I just pinpointed it today, but whenever they open the back door, there's a sort of clicking noise. It sounds like that happens like intermittently, like it just happens every few seconds, and it sounds like a tennis ball hitting something. It drives me crazy. So like my solution, I was like, well, why don't I, and somebody else is staying up there right now because they're out of town, so I would have to like talk to someone I've never met before, introduce myself, say welcome, and then ask them to stop doing something, Like it's just like I'd have to say like I happen to notice this noise. Can you investigate and find a way to stop it? And I can't do that. I can't do that. So like because it's just a drop in the sea of things that bother me. And so it's
Mhm.
like I can't like open that floodgate. Um Everything bothers me. And part of me it's like, well, it's like that proverb where, it's just like where you like somebody's going by and throwing one starfish in the ocean and they're like, there's hundreds of starfish out here. You can't save them all. And they're like, well, I saved the one, and that's how I feel about like making one noise stop. I'm sorry, I'm insane. So it's like, what's easier is working on myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really proud of you that that's the conclusion you came to as you
Y-
were not trying to save your mental starfishes.
Yeah. But I mean, the solutions are they're not fun because as soon as you read meditate as a first solution, you're like, okay, so there's no solutions.
Dude, I mean, it wasn't that our entire pandemic that you were like, cool, just take it off the list if
Yeah.
that's going to be the start of every solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you read meditate, it's over. It's like there's nothing. Um, One site was like, let go of what you cannot control. It's not what I'm
How?
asking. Yeah, I'm asking how, not what should I do? Use a journal. It's like, oh God.
To
I
beat the person making the sound.
Why don't we write a book? I don't know.
Yeah, you were like,
Uh,
we're getting somewhere.
and then that sound bothers me. Practice mindfulness meditation to stay present in the moment. Like the moment's what I'm trying to escape, but thanks.
Yeah.
Use a positive affirmation as a source of inspiration to control negative thoughts. What? Do what brings you joy, where you lose track of time. So it's like telling me to get in the zone. Like, why don't you just, start writing and get in the zone? So it's like ignore it, is what you're saying. Spend some time outside in nature. Do you know me?
They don't. They don't.
No. Do some physical exercise that you enjoy. I have done. Check already. Practice mindful breathing. Like, there's no good solutions. It's just basically, I just have to like, just be like, it is what it is. And that's my life. Just, it's fine.
I know you can't spend your life with headphones on, but with noise canceling headphones, is there a version where you're not listening to music, but they cancel out noise?
Interesting you should ask. And I feel like this is another setup for another product. I haven't I haven't tried it yet. One company did send me, like when we were doing Tune On Doctors before and we were getting ads, they did send me, like, I forget what the company was, which
Oh
no wonder
yeah.
they didn't continue working with us. They sent me these like earplugs that are
Yeah.
supposed to reduce noise interference. I don't think it did anything. There's another company called Loop. And so they have like quiet ones where it's like you're actually blocking out a lot, or then there's like different levels of what you can block out without actually listening to music. I haven't tried them yet. They're about 30 pounds. I'd be willing to try them. But because I had that experience with the first one that didn't do anything for me, I'm like, well, I don't want to spend 30 pounds. I
Wait.
don't know if you can
Yeah.
return something you've shoved in your ear.
No,
Um,
good.
what?
That's a great question.
This is gonna end in less than a minute. But so yeah, and it's just annoying because I have like these really nice trees that are leafy, and so when the wind blows, it's a beautiful sound. But then I have this like tennis ball sound interrupting it, and so I can wear headphones, but then I don't get the ambience of the trees.
Life's so hard.
I know. All I want to do is listen to leaves. Thanks for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you. As we are the tennis balls of probably your day. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye.